There's one thing I hate. All the noise.
That's the car industry. Junk, noise, loud, and it's this, a sea of white cars, beige cars, silver cars. I mean, come on. Is it any surprise that among millennials, the number of people 18 years old getting their driver's license has dropped 15% in the last 25 years? I don't know about you, but when I could get my license, I was off in my mother's Oldsmobile before you could even count to 3. Today, it's like, who cares? So is any reason, any wonder that this is happening? And this is a massive problem for the entire industry, not just Chrysler. Back in the day, we could solve that with, well, product. We'll throw out a muscle car. Muscle cars are cool, it's exciting. The problem is today, you're competing with all these other things in a person's life. And how are they spending their time and how are they spending their money? And to be blunt, in the car business, we think in terms of monthly payments. How much is it going to cost the average consumer a month to get them into one of our vehicles? What's competing for the monthly payment? How much do they want the Challenger versus all of this other stuff? And then importantly, the bills, the wireless charges, et cetera, to run all this other stuff. And so that's what we're competing with. Yeah, we're competing with Toyota, but we're competing with this. And this is where we've got to win. So you layer on top of that, like the car business, oh my God, ruin, disgrace, bankruptcy, caught in the old school dinosaur era of dying big business. Why would you want to do that? Well, that's where we're different. Chrysler is different. We're like a cat. We've been through 8 of our 9 lives, but because we've been through that experience, we don't ever want to go back. And that's the kind of transformative spirit that you need inside of a company to really start to do great things. This is our roster of brands, as Roman mentioned. And so a lot of times people just think of us like, well, you're Chrysler, you're Dodge, or maybe I know about Jeep. Well, we're Ferrari. We're Alfa Romeo. And yes, Alfa Romeo is coming back to the United States next year, so look for it. BMW, watch out. Maserati, we have industrial brands. So we have a global portfolio of brands now. So we're very well armed to move forward. And the emphasis is on the word brand. And here is a shot of our leader. This is Sergio Marchionne. He's the head of Fiat Chrysler. He runs the industrial group. He runs the whole thing. He has turned around multiple companies. He's turned us around at Chrysler. He's turned around Fiat. He is a true visionary. He's also a very focused, humble, down-to-earth guy. And I like this shot of him because he's in the factory. He's talking with workers. He's sharing values, what's driving the company, what he's going to measure them on. And that starts to build our value set, who we are as a company and what we stand for. And we think that's so important because at the end of the day, consumers are buying values. It's more than just a product. A lot of people can make products. We have to show our value set and how our value set is embodied in our brands. Who are we? What do we think? And therefore, why should you trust us? Why should you believe us? A car is a very expensive purchase. You got to trust us and you got to believe us. So we've got the spirit inside the company. We're on our 9th life. We're ready to go. We've looked into the abyss. We don't want to go back. But how do we tell that story? Because remember, we're Chrysler. Everyone's like, Chrysler, Chrysler. How do you choose that? Detroit? You got to be kidding. So Detroit, is it a symbol of ruin and a symbol of despair? Or is it a symbol of hope? And is it a symbol of rebirth? And the thing that I think a lot of people don't think about and realize, Detroit used to be Silicon Valley back in Walter P. Chrysler's day. This was where America led in terms of innovation. It led in terms of coming up with machines and devices and ideas that changed the world. It was in Detroit. And then look what happened. And that's a lesson to all of us. Don't get too insular. Don't let your business model get upside down. We were literally selling cars for less than what it cost us to build them. I wonder why we went bankrupt. And so one of Sergio's principles is that we're going to make money on every unit that we sell. Shocking business concept. But we want to take this and say, okay, how can Detroit fight back? How can we fight back? How can we get smart? We've gone down. We can come back. And that's important because we can start to capture it with a theme. And it's larger than just Detroit. It's this notion of doing the right thing, of fighting, of being humble and saying, you know what, you're never done and you've got to fight. And frankly, everyone in this room is imported from Detroit, no matter where you're from. because that's what we do in this industry. Stuff is changing constantly. You've got to align with your values, and you've got to go where stuff is going to go. And you've got to make sure that people believe it, they see your story, and they understand it.